So now we face it with our children. If our children now are to eat good, what are they going to eat? So we're going to have to now design a diet, which we have at the Usha Institute, a diet that is not as consistent as the African, but it would cause no deterioration or less deterioration of the cells. But if our children drink that cow milk and eat that sugar consistently and eat that meat, whether beef, lamb, or whatever, so what? We're not interested because we're not interested. I call the NAACP. They say, I don't want to hear your philosophy. I said, sir, I have no philosophy. What do you mean you don't have a philosophy? I said, sir, if I had a philosophy, it may differ with life itself, then I would be in danger. But if I have no philosophy and join life procession, I'll be saved. So, sir, I'm giving you something from life procession. I cure all the diseases they say are incurable. He said, I don't want to hear it. Slam the phone down. I called Dr. Whitten in Detroit, who is head of the Sickle Cell Research Foundation. I said, Dr. Whitten, I cure sickle cell. He said, you cure sickle cell? Big deal, I'm not interested. Slam the phone down. I went to Howard University, and I told Dr. Castro. Dr. Castro happened to be from Ecuador. He is head of hematology. I said, Dr. Castro, I cure sickle cell, and I heard that you are head of hematology. He said, you cure what? I said, I cure sickle cell. You see, I am not, I told you, I am uncompromising. When I know something, I'm going to tell you. If I don't know that something, I'm not going to tell you because I don't know. When I know, I know. I do not live in the zone of belief. I believe I saw Ali. No. Sebi, did you see Ali? No. Did you see Ali? Yes. Definite. Did you see Ali? Well, I believe. I'm not certain, isn't it? Where belief is uncertainty. And I do not live in the realm of uncertainty. Either I know or I don't know. But what happened? My race, my people, you, many of us, live in a zone of belief. So when I come with reality, it's going to be a challenge. So he said to me, have you written a book? I said, sir, why? Well, you know, if you haven't written a book, how would I know what you're doing? I say, I could bring you 5 patients right now in D.C. could show you that they have sickle cell, no longer have it. That's proof enough, isn't it? Why need a book for that? I say, have you written a book? He said, I've written 3 books. I said, do you cure sickle cell? No. You see? You see the inconsistencies? But we were led to believe that to attain, I don't want to use the word wisdom because I do not know what wisdom is, or knowledge, because I don't have those things. Because I would be the least to have those things. Because I didn't go to school. But we were led to believe that to understand, to dissect, you had to go through quite a few pages. First, the child had to go at 5, and then he goes to 13 or whatever it is, get his something, and then he go get another one named high school, then a BS, then a PhD. No MA, then PhD. But what happened is that every step of the way you are humiliated. And in that humiliation, faith comes in. If I have a 5th grade education, I look down on the one who had 1st grade. If I have a high school diploma, I look down on the one who didn't have high school diploma. If I have a BS, I look down on the one that didn't finish high school or didn't have a BS. If I have an MA, I look down on the BS. If I have a PhD, I look down on the MA. But now that you have the PhD, you know who wrote the philosophy and the paper and the perspective that gave you the PhD? A white man. So you're humiliated, whether with the PhD or the MA or no school at all. Well, I prefer to take the non-educated because then I am free. I am the product of my mama. So we're not going to do that. Why is it that the educators in nutrition Don't they recommend eggs and bacon and butter as a form of protein? Well, brother, a very intelligent argument. Brother, no, I'm not going to use a brother in the sense. I'm going to go back to Washington. Dr. Steinberg and Dr. Gluck. There's a young sister by the name of Akila Stroud suffering with sickle cell anemia since she was born. The father brought the child to me at 2 years sickle cell, and said, Dr. Sebi, I want my little girl to be treated by you. So he snatched the little girl from the hospital, brought her to me, and hid her in Maryland. And we treated the little girl. 2 months and a half, 3 months later, silver spring. 3 months later, they have this warrant out for my brother. His name is Stroud. He's down in Minnesota. I'm trying to remember his other name. Stroud said, look, I need for you to go with me to the Georgetown Pediatric Department. I said, for what? Because I have a warrant for my arrest for not allowing my child to receive adequate care or medical attention. And I could be incarcerated and my child could be taken away from me, and I do not want that. My child no longer has sickle cell. I said, how do you know? Because I took her to 5 doctors and she no longer has 1 cell sickle. I said, just go. So we went in there, naturally, Caucasians sitting there, white Caucasian woman, and I'm a black man. They have no respect for me. How could they? When they represent the very establishment that teach every black child and every black person. So if I was a white woman, and you come in front of me as a black person, I'm not going to have no respect for you, because I educated you. But no, baby, we have to educate ourselves now, and independent to that Caucasian education, and do our research independent to that research, because that research failed them. What do you think about us? So she said, Dr. Steinberg, Dr. Gluck, the sheriff, and another doctor, a French doctor, she goes through my dietary program. And she flipping the pages really rough. She said, now look, the little child brought to me was intravenously fed for 2 years. All her little life. Came back after 3 months, she's staying in the hallway with the rest of the little kids without the pain. Without the upper pulmonary disorder, because sickle cell, again, is malnutrition. Sickle cell, but wait, I like to veer off my subject and then come back, but I don't want to do it now because this is very tedious. She said, well, Dr. Sebi, I didn't see where you made any recommendation for protein in your dietary formulas. I said, this woman doesn't know that she's making a mistake here. Look what she's doing. Oh boy, did she let herself wide open? She said, what about protein? I said, what about protein? What is protein? She said, what do you mean, what is protein? Protein is one of the 19 amino acids, the building block of life. Numbers again, 19 amino acids. You see these numbers keep popping up. I said, what did you say? Protein is one of the 19 amino acids which are the building block of life. Am I quoting her correctly?
Yes.
But is it true?
No, according to their story.
Well, thank you, but black people knows only that. I am not blaming black people or my brothers and my sisters for knowing only that, because that's all they gave us. But what happened, he didn't realize that one day, one of us was going to find a lie in it, and that's all it takes, a thought. And it changes perspective now. She said to me, well, you disagree with protein, Dr. Sebi? I said, well, wait. You are not even looking at the results. Look at the little girl out there. She's playing. When she was brought to me, you had her under your care for 2 years, feeding her protein. How many times a day did you feed her protein? For breakfast, for brunch, for lunch, for snack, for dinner. You fed her protein 5 times a day. If protein was so equitable, I think a kilo would be healthier with you than with me, since it has been omitted. So I would have hoped that you didn't use protein as your premise or point of departure. Well, are you disagreeing that protein doesn't exist? I said, but man, I am a product of life, and whatever substance going to assimilate in me has to come from that same perspective, life procession. It has to be electrical. Why? Every element on the planet has a definite amount of electrons per atom, distinguishing one element from the other. A definite amount that distinguishes one from the other that they could only unite with its own kind. Now, ma'am, what is the electrical value of protein? I don't know. I said, but ma'am, if you're going to use something as your premise, you should know something about it. Will you use that against me, trying to derail my ability, and you know nothing about it? I said, you mind if I ask you one question? What is sickle cell? She said, sickle cell is a disease that black people contracted in Africa 10,000 years ago because they said went through mutation. I said, our cells went through mutation? She said, yes. I said, well, if our cells went through mutation, then there must have been some extreme environmental condition to cause that, isn't it?
Exactly.
I said, but man, when did that happen? 10,000 years ago. I said, man, why is it that your story differs from Dick Gregory? Dick Gregory said that sickle cell was given to us by God to fight malaria. I mean, when I heard that come out of Dick Gregory's mouth, I started seeing God as a Star Wars disease God. I said, look at this. God gave me one disease to fight another. How does that compute in our black head? That God going to be so cruel to give me a disease that in itself is devastating. How could my biological structure be so equipped because of the presence of that disease to fight another disease? Does that make sense? But you see, who educated Dick? Dr. Steinberg's brother. And Dr. Steinberg is supporting that particular philosophy. I said, man, sickle cell is malnutrition. Sickle cell is when a child has been deprived of iron. The black man being electrical, being so high in carbon, some people call it melanin. And this is why I can notice the argument of melanin. Melanin, melanin, melanin. Melanin not existent. That's another word from the Caucasian.